Welcome to the Iferia TechCast, where we bring you all things science, engineering, technology, and innovation. Today we are joined by Justin ITee Walker, founder and CEO of ITeeCMD and host of the Multiverse Technology Podcast. Justin is passionate about bridging the gap between technology and humanity, empowering leaders and teams through cybersecurity, self-leadership, and transformative growth. With a unique blend of technical expertise and a focus on human connection, Justin helps organizations and individuals thrive in today's digital world. So, Justin, it's an honor to have you on the show today. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Ezekiel.
All right. So, let's start with your, very incredible transformation story from a near fatal overdose to becoming a CEO and podcast host. So, tell us in that moment, in the ambulance, so you can, as well just start with the story. So, you heard a voice saying your journey was just beginning. So, what was the first smallest step you took when you recovered to start building the life you have today?
Yeah, so there was quite a few steps I took. It wasn't just one thing. I had to come to realize that there were several things that I had to do to get my life where I needed to be. One of those was focusing on my fitness
Hmm.
and then understanding that I'm on a healing journey. I had to find my humanity and what humanity meant to me again. Because doing all those drinking and drugs and the overdose, I lost my humanity. I didn't know how to connect with myself or other people anymore.
Hmm.
So I started with fitness, started with Krav Maga, started doing some martial arts, started changing my diet, and then found I have a lot of limiting beliefs and things that are holding me back. They're all in my head. And I had to come to terms with how to work through them by talking with coaches, talking with other people, starting my podcast so I could reach out to people who had answers that I didn't have, and just kind of pick their brains about leadership and life and humanity so I can figure out where I belonged here and how to remove my limiting beliefs from my own life. It's been a journey and I'm still on it. It's a nonstop process.
Fantastic. That's sounds like a really incredible journey. So, you talk about bridging the gap between technology and humanity. For the engineers and developers listening, what does that actually look like in practice? How do you inject human connection into something as technical as cybersecurity protocol?
Yes. So I can start by saying it is not a logical answer. As technology people, we want to think logically about how we can do this, but it's more of an innate human ability to connect with one's own self. And in that process, you have to go through your own journey, your own healing, learn how to love yourself, take care of yourself, and show up for yourself. So once you're able to do that, you're able to show up for other human beings from a position of love and compassion, not only for them but for yourself. So it really takes a lot of work you have to do to understand how to connect and talk with other humans and meet them where they are. Don't go over their head logically, but kind of stay with them where they are emotionally as human beings. And it takes a lot of work. It's not easy, but once you're able to do that, you can bridge your logical, emotional together and help other people become better human beings, learn how to work with them better, listen to them better, and just understand what the hell they're trying to tell you. Because sometimes we don't do a good job listening to people. And that's kind of where we fall, especially in technology, when we're trying to get from A to B and break stuff fast and just try and make things work. We don't realize that that human being who you're helping, they're a huge part of that. And it takes a community And it takes that patience and kindness to understand where they're coming from, to connect with them and get things done better.
That is really insightful, Justin. So I am fascinated by your perspective as a leader on the autism spectrum. So how has neurodiversity been a superpower for you in understanding systems, whether they are computer networks or human teams? And where do you see it giving you a unique edge?
Yeah, so I've learned that I connect with people really well and they trust me and they really feel comfortable with me. And that also allows me to be able to read people's energy really well, kind of know what their intent is, and just understand where they're coming from so I can connect with them and meet them where they are, not where I want them to be or need them to be. And it also has its drawbacks because since I read people's energy, I can absorb it sometimes. It gets to be a lot, you know. But I feel that I'm learning myself that just because I'm on the spectrum doesn't mean that the problems I have, everyone else doesn't have them too. You know, how to connect with people, how to be more human, how to understand different cultures, how to get things done, how to not look at my ADD as a bad thing and look at it as a superpower so I get more done. But realizing that being on the spectrum is just kind of me putting myself in the box. So I have to get away from that box to realize that has nothing to do with anything, but it's based upon my own performance, my own beliefs, my own ability to hold myself accountable to do things to push myself forward.
Great. That is fascinating. So you've said that tech culture has long prioritized expertise over connection. So what is one practical thing a technical team lead can do tomorrow to start shifting that culture and fostering more genuine connection within their team?
Yeah. Well, the first part is just listening and understanding that we're all human beings. We all have jobs we have to do. We have families we have to support. But
Mm,
just taking the time to just step back, be quiet, and just listen and watch and observe. See how your teams and people are interacting. Listen to what they need or what they're, because they're not going to tell you what they need necessarily. You have to be able to tune yourself in to see what their needs may be. And you can always just ask them too, but usually people don't really tell you. You have to kind of read between the lines and just be that ear, that source for them to kind of communicate with you and open up those gaps so that you guys can communicate well together. And you can get a lot more done together when you start communicating, listening, and showing up with kindness and respect with each other. You know?
yeah, yeah. So moving forward, can you share a story of a time you used a lesson from your recovery, from Krav Maga to yoga, or perhaps another discipline to navigate a high-stake crisis or a major setback in your business?
Whew, that's a good question. I can talk to the crisis because right after I had my accident and I was sober, every day was a crisis. You know, every day was a struggle. It was tough. It was hard. I still had a lot of the old mindset lingering from when I
Mm,
was doing drugs and drinking. So I still had like this foggy mind. I was scared of things. I was unprepared for my life. I couldn't talk or communicate like I can now. So when I got into Krav Maga, that really helped build and instill systems, consistency, and just remove the fear from my life that I had, you know, from all the drug induced toxicity. So from that, it allowed me to not only navigate those systems from Krav Maga, but into my business, learning how to protect myself, how to show up for myself, help me how to protect people and show up for other people, and help navigate conversations and my business to where I felt more comfortable, less fearful, and more human, and then it just really kind of spiraled into something amazing from there.
All right. So let's talk about a term you use, the human firewall. So I'd say it's quite powerful beyond just training people not to click phishing links. So what does it mean to build a security culture that is truly resilient because it's built on trust and open communication?
Yes. So with most cybersecurity and IT firms, they push, and a lot of vendors, they will push technology, buy this, buy that. If you implement this, you're protected. Don't worry, pay this amount will protect you. But that's not the case. Those programs will not do anything if there's not a culture that's cultivated around understanding, being trained, and knowing what to look for and how to react. For example, if how we have a lot of like AI deep fakes going around, calling companies or imitating people's voices. If that person, the reception desk, is not trained like the IT guy, and someone calls there and pretends to be the CEO or even the help desk, say, I need your password, she's going to give them all this information and everything to them without knowing what he or she is doing. So we have to train everyone in the company needs to learn and understand how to protect the company as a whole. Because if not everyone does, those programs, all that money you spend on cybersecurity is going to be meaningless. It comes to you have to put controls into place. There has to be training, and there has to be an entire culture of just knowing and understanding what needs to be done. Because another caveat to that is most people as individuals don't know how to protect their own lives. So they have a lot of fear and anxiety around what to do with security and cyber for their businesses, for their home. And all of this kind of goes together from personal to business because a lot of the tactics and training are the same. It helps change the mindset and it helps remove the fear and anxiety. But that's over time. As you know and learn more, you fear things less in a different way. There's still fear there, but the anxiety is removed a lot more because there's always going to be things to fear in cybersecurity. But knowing you have the right training and tools to help you combat it, because there's no 100%. Anyone who tells you I can protect you 100% is lying to you.
Mm.
And if they tell you that, let me talk to them because I might need that protection. Just kidding.
All right, that's really insightful, dear Justin. So, moving forward, for the high achievers in tech who may be struggling silently with their own challenges, so what is your message on how to ask for help, and how did you learn to be vulnerable and share your own story?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I like that one. So I learned that when you're working in a job, your coworkers or your manager or your CEO or boss is not your mentor. That's not
Mm.
someone you can look up to and ask questions. They're there to protect the company and have you do your job. So you need to take a step back and figure out for yourself, what do you want out of life? Why are you doing this? What's your why? What drives you every day to wake up? If it's just a paycheck and that's it, making money to support your family, then you might need to question that more. Yes, we need to make money to support our families, but you need a stronger why. And I feel that's to help other people show up and give them help them find their own purpose and passions in life outside of working for a paycheck and supporting their family. Because if you don't do that, people will reach burnout. They'll be frustrated because a job to them, they're just a number and they can let you go at any time. So you really need to take a step back, figure out what is your why, and really figure out your own journey. Figure out how to heal yourself, how to take care of yourself, especially in technology, because so many people are reaching burnout and just like, oh, logical mind this, logical mind that. and not understanding that we're human beings with not just a logical mind, but an emotional mind as well. So we have to learn to breathe, lead, and find purpose through our own self-leadership.
Fantastic. So looking at the
That's a long
future, yeah, it's a really great response there, actually, Justin. So looking at the future of cybersecurity, what would you say is a significant human vulnerability that technology alone can never fix, and how do we start addressing it now?
That's a good question. Well, you kind of said it right there. The human aspect is always going to be the most vulnerable. If that human is not trained, does not understand what to do, doesn't think they need to do anything, does not take their own accountability to understand that they're involved in this, they're going to be the most number one thing that is going to be the issue with cybersecurity, like it always has been. People want to say, oh, it's AI, but AI is trained by humans. So human beings need to be training themselves the right tools, technology, regardless of what your job title is. You need to have these skills of understanding how to protect yourself as you get more involved into the AI age, understanding how these tools and things work. You can't just be using things and expecting, oh, it's okay. I don't care about privacy. I don't care about data protection. These are things we have to think about as human beings to protect companies and ourselves and our families. Because, for example, people have a lot of like cameras. They're hooked up to the internet and they have them in their house. And that's one thing I tell people, never have cameras in your house because people can hack into those very easily and see what's going on in your house. You should have them outside your house. You should have your network locked down. So that's just one example, the human.
All right, that was really insightful. So you are also a podcast host yourself, right?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, I do something in there.
Fantastic. So what have you learned about the power of storytelling to not only inspire but to educate and secure organizations from your podcast?
So there's kind of two things with this. I've learned that podcasting is not only an outlet or a place to get the word out about what you do and how you do it, but it's a very powerful tool to connect us as human beings, to have conversations that we may
Yeah.
normally wouldn't be able to have all over the world, You learn from each other. Like if you're just doing it for money or just to monetize, I feel you're not doing it right. It's such a powerful tool for connection, for collaboration, for helping share information in the age where there's so much of it to share. So it's a powerful tool. And I even try and help people understand that and teach people some of the ways I do it is to come from the point of being of service, showing up from the heart and wanting to really truly help people and help them find out solutions to their problems.
As a podcast host myself, I must say that I could not agree more to what you just said. That was really, really great there. So if you could get every tech CEO in the world to understand one thing about the people who work for them. So tell us, Justin, what would it be?
Lead with your heart and lead with more compassion. There's different types of leaders out there. Not all CEOs are leaders, and not all leaders are CEOs. Leadership is something powerful and life-changing, and not everyone should be a leader or knows how to be or knows what it takes to be a leader. But we all have the ability inside of us to be leaders of our own lives, to be leaders of others. It's just we have to really dig down deep inside of us, find our purpose, our passion, our why. So a lot of leaders out there nowadays, they're always telling you what to do, micromanaging. Those aren't the kind of people. I mean, I don't want those kind of people in my life. I don't know why you'd want to go to a job and working every day and having someone yelling and screaming and telling you things to do, but now actually looking at you and thinking of you as a human being, because that's what you are. That's what we all are. And we need to learn and realize that more now than ever. I mean, the further away we get from our humanity, the worse leaders we become, the worse the society we become. We need to have conversations and just talk to each other and be better at that.
Great. So, still on the topic of leadership, what does self leadership mean to someone in the trenches? Say a junior engineer who feels they have no authority. So, what is the first piece of territory they can reclaim control over?
Yeah. So first, they need to be curious and start asking more questions, more existential questions, not just logical questions, but
Mm,
more existential of meaning, what does your life really truly mean to you? When you start being curious and asking these questions, you start understanding that you're going to start leading yourself differently, looking at yourself differently. Your family and your kids will look at you differently because they look up to you to lead them. But if you can't lead yourself and go deep and do that deep work that needs to be done, which looks different for everyone, and know it, not everyone's going to do this work. But if you feel there's something calling on your heart, or you're feeling that you're struggling and that there's something more to this world than just this logical thinking and this technology and this job, then you're going to start asking the right questions, and you're going to start leading yourself, and everyone's going to see that around you. You're going to start changing inside a lot more than you bargained for. And it's going to be hard and tough, and it's not easy. It's gross and disgusting and hard nights sometimes, really tapping into that deep down part of yourself and coming to terms with who we are as human beings.
great. So, Justin, tech is continuously evolving. All the time there are new generation of people entering into the tech industry. What gives you the most hope about the next generations entering the tech industry?
I think it comes down to more not just entering the tech industry, but
Mm,
people in general starting their lives, trying to figure out how they want to be, how they want to live, what they want to build and create. What does that look like to them? Because so
mm,
many of us we've been bred in a system and a society within the matrix to have things done and handed to us and to be paid the bare minimum not to ask questions. So as people come up and they start to get into the world or into tech or whatever it is, you need to really start asking more questions, being curious. Don't lose your creativity, because no matter if you go into tech or anything else, it will swallow and eat you alive. And that's why so many people have a lot of depression, anxiety, or they have breakdowns because they're trying to go into a system or a job that's not built for them. But they need to start asking the right questions to determine what is it they want and what is built for them themselves. And some people go through life and ask any question and they're fine with it. That's okay too. I'm not okay with that. And no one else should be either.
mm. All right. So, part of the theme of this podcast is centered around innovation. So, for that reason, there's a question that I like to reserve for every guest I have a conversation with on innovation. So, in your work, which is all about integrating profound personal healing with technological leadership. So, tell us, Justin, what does the word innovation truly mean to you?
I think it goes back to kind of what I was saying earlier. In order to innovate, you have to be curious. In order to be curious, you have to ask questions. When you
Mm,
ask questions, you have to remember how to be creative also. A lot of us have lost our creativity. The creativity without being curious, without asking questions, there's no innovation. So many people say, oh, well, this has already been done or this has been done before. Things can be done different ways. We have to think outside of the box. So I always say there's people that think inside the box, outside the box, and the box does not exist as a social construct. So try to think without the box even existing. That
Wow.
is the way you innovate. That is the way you become curious. That is the way that we move forward as human beings, no matter what industry that we're in.
Fantastic. So we just delete the boss and do the actual thinking. Interesting.
Yeah. Disconnect from the matrix, man.
A really great perspective, Justin. So finally, for our listeners who are inspired to connect with you and your mission, so you have several resources. What's the best first step for them to take to learn more about you and your work and your resources that you provide?
Yes. So if they would like to learn more about how we help protect healthcare clinics and other businesses, they can reach out to me at Justin ITee Walker.net, and that'll take you to my LinkedIn. And if they're interested in being our guest on our podcast and helping their business grow, they can check us out at Multiverse Technology Podcast.net. Just feel free to reach out. I'd like to have a conversation. Let's chat. No pressure. You know?
Great. Justin, it's been a really fantastic conversation with you today, and I'm
You too.
totally excited and honored to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Ezekiel. Very good to meet you today.